Welcome to Imagination. My name is Susanna Westwood. I am the founder of Imagination, and I'm so glad that you could be here again today, guys. Today is all about artists, photographers, animators, people that are just working within the artistic area. So yeah, we hope that you really take the time out, like I say, every single week, because we're always here. And I say it's about you taking some time out and finding out, getting some inspiration from other people that are here, but finding out for yourself what it is that you really want to do and the career that you want to have. Because I know, with having conversations with some of you guys when I've been around to the universities and different places to come and do talks, is that you're frustrated with where you're at and don't know how to take your career to the next level. So, we just wanted to provide this time that you can come and you can think about your art or where you're at, and also think about where you want to go to. So that's why we're here. Guys, we're here today at the Walsall Studio School once again, so we just want to say a quick thank you to the whole team that are here helping us today. And first and foremost, I want to introduce our lovely guest, which is a great friend of mine, so I'm very excited. This is Oliver. Thank you for being with us. And he's an amazing painter, as you can probably tell. We've got some pictures here today, which we'll talk about anyways. So kind of the plan today is obviously we're going to have a great chat just to kind of see who you are, what you do, and hopefully you can give some emerging artists out there some advice and some help on what they do. And we're going to play a few videos, which is going to be very nice to kind of see what you do. So could you just, before we get on to kind of watching a video from you, could you just tell us who you are, where you're from?
Yeah. Well, I'm Oliver Pengilly. I currently live in Dudley, originally from Bath. I lived half of my childhood in Bath, and then I moved to North Devon and lived there as well. So I had
all
lots
the pretty places.
Yeah, I've had a lot of inspiration. And for the last 10 years or so, I've been working full time as an artist.
That's amazing.
But I've been painting ever since I was little. So yeah, it was what I do now.
Love it. I love it. I love it. So what we're going to do before we get straight into conversations, because you know me, I can talk forever. So let's watch a quick video. This is Ollie doing some stuff for us on Imagination, which some of you guys might have seen. So hopefully this is a bit of insight of who he is and what he does.
I'm Oliver Pengilly. I'm a fine artist. I've been painting ever since I was about 11 years old, and it's something that I love doing, and I'm really glad to be able to do it for a living, for a job. It's taken a long time to build up the amount of people sort of buying my work and investing in me so I can do it full time, but it's really worth it to be able to do that full time. So yeah. What I love about doing paintings is the response I get from people. I started off with doing wildlife and stuff, and that was great for me, but I got more reward when I saw that paintings could actually help people and enlighten them, or give them a sense of hope, or a sense of peace. So the reward is basically what people get from the artwork and how it touches their lives. So for me, that's what fuels me to continue painting. Really, it's just the response. So yeah. Main challenges is obviously being an artist. Everyone knows you're a poor, starving artist, so it's money. But basically, getting people to part with money for original paintings, you have to think of other ways to get money, doing prints and cards and things like that. So you have to be a bit of a business person as well to actually generate income. So that's been the hardest struggle, is not only thinking of things to paint and being inspired, but also to get people to part with money for those paintings. So it's always been a challenge. I think Imagination is good because it just it's great to get together with other creative people. You'll find that it doesn't matter what they do, whether it's music or dance, they have the same sort of problems in the industry and actually generate money and things like that. For me, I've always had friends that are musicians particularly. I always paint to music, and having music for some of the things that I do, for some of the animation stuff I've done, has been amazing. So it's great to actually get together in one place and be able to communicate with different people from different forms of art and share that together. I think it's a really good idea.
That was awesome. It was really nice to kind of, obviously you gave bits of insight there of sort of what you do, and we could get to see you painting, which is awesome. It's really good.
Yeah.
So before we kind of get into some of the practical stuff, could you tell us a bit about sort of your career, the highlights, the lowlights, or whatever you want to call it?
The struggling parts.
Just tell us about how did you first decided that you wanted to become an artist, and the kind of the process that you've gone through?
Well, yeah, I was lucky enough to have artistic parents. They met together at art college themselves, and so even from an early age, they always encouraged creativity.
That's awesome.
And so that's been probably the biggest influence was as having my dad is a graphic designer. He works as a self-employed graphic designer, so I got to know what it was like to be self-employed, going to his office and drawing. And he used to help me with drawing. He would come over and rub it out if it was wrong and tell me to look again. And it's all about like looking at what you're copying. That's what I used to do as a kid. I also had a brittle bone disorder, which meant that I was unable to go out and play a lot with the other children. So I spent a lot of time sitting and drawing pictures, and that's what I did all the time. And as children, I suppose me and my siblings were always encouraged to make something. If we were bored, they'd give us something to make it with, whether that's Lego or pencils or whatever. So I took to drawing and painting from a really early age, and I think I was about 11 when my dad first bought me my paints, and I started doing paintings from films and stuff that I liked. And then I went to do wildlife. As I got a bit older, I started liking animals and started going into the wildlife area of art. And at school, the teacher encouraged me to go to college and carry on doing art, doing general art and design courses, which allow you to do photography and sculpture and all the different aspects of art. So you get to sort of figure out how best you express yourself, what medium to choose that would best suit you. So I did that, and I found painting was the thing that I connected with the most and gave me the quickest results. I didn't, photography is okay, I like doing that, I like doing a bit of sculpture sometimes, but really painting allows me to express my what I'm thinking in my head, as messed up as it was.
That's all good.
And
that's all good.
yeah, I mean, as a teenager, I suppose when you go through all that hormonal change, your mind's all crazy, and I was painting whatever was in my head, and I started doing this weird stuff that I was painting, and but it was just a way of processing lots of different things in my life, and it really helped me to go through some of the things that I went through as a child. So going on to college, it was just a natural progression, really. And at college, again, after staying on for 3 years, doing a couple of courses, I took a couple of years out to do mural paintings in hospitals and things like that, just to get my name around. I knew as an artist it was all about getting your name out there, so I tried doing a lot of free work for people and zoos and things like that.
Oh, wow.
And it was a struggle because I wasn't really earning any money. So my brother went on an illustration course, so I said I'd go with him, and so we both went to Taunton together to do a couple of years there doing illustration, which was good in the sense it allowed me to practice my skills and to have time to do that. But as far as helping me in the industry, it didn't really do much, really, to be honest. It was a new course, it just started. We had a part-time tutor. It wasn't really that helpful, really, to get my name out there and actually be an artist. So I quit the final year. I didn't do the final year. I just got a HND and not a BA. The cost of being there, cost of being at college, was just too much, and I knew.
I was going to say, it's expensive.
Yeah, if you're going to be an artist, you just need to do it, don't you?
Yeah.
And you're only as good as your artwork.
Yeah.
So from that point, I went on and searched places. Everywhere I could go, I went to different zoos and safari parks and took my artwork, because I was doing a lot of wildlife.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to sell myself. I was just trying to say, hey, look, I could sell my paintings in the courtyard of your zoo or whatever, or I could come and paint here for free, or do this event for you, or whatever. Just
I love that drive, though. That's like
yeah,
I'm
I had
over
to,
it.
because I wanted money.
Yeah.
Money's a really good motivator. I had a little Mini at the time, and I used to try and fit everything in the Mini and drive around these places and get work. It was crazy. But I went to BBC Wildlife magazine in Bristol. They actually wrote back to me and actually did say come and visit. And I had a free trip round there and met them there. But they only had one job for an illustrator, and they already had someone doing it. But they were nice enough to talk to me and
That's really
and
good.
just
That's
encouraged
really
me. I sent work to people that I admired, artists that I liked. I thought that was a good thing to do. David Shepherd was one of them, who I loved as a child, his wildlife paintings, and I sent him work. And I remember being at college, and he rang me up on my mobile.
No way.
I was in my
That's so cool. I didn't do this. This
I was
is
in
cool.
my halls of residence, and my phone was ringing. I was like, and this is the older gentleman on the phone, and he's like, it's David Shepherd. I was like, I couldn't believe it, because I had his work on postcards on my wall, ever since I was a kid. So he said, do you want to display some work at this Christie's auctions in London and sell work alongside the other artists to raise money for wildlife. Although it was, again, I wasn't making any money,
Yeah.
it was still like,
That's
this
a
is
great acclaim to have straight away. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good opportunity to I did that for a few years running and met some nice people, well-known people doing that. But it was such an alien world to me, like
Yeah.
coming from Devon, going into London.
Country boy.
I think I borrowed my
Going
dad's
into the
old
city.
suit, yeah, and I was just standing there like drinking the free champagne, thinking.
Nice.
And I remember, I think I had too many champagnes. And I think there was a member of royalty. I can't remember who it was, but they were walking around. When they got to mine, I leaned over the barrier and I did that. That's all I said. I just blurted out, I did that. I don't know what I was thinking, but
She claimed to fame right there.
yeah. But it was great to sell paintings to raise money for wildlife. But
Yeah.
I would thought that would have opened more doors, but it kind of didn't. It kind of stopped there. It was the people that already had a name doing wildlife art that were making the money. And if you didn't have a name already, it was very hard to sell work after that. So I continued searching other places. I found a studio locally near Bristol, Bath area.
Yeah.
And I would take my portfolio everywhere I went. I mean, nowadays you can have your iPad or whatever and
say,
just show your
it's
work.
completely different.
Yeah, yeah. I had a big folder and I opened this big folder of
Everywhere you
paintings.
went.
And there's Mary Shaw Studios, a woman there, really gave me a big break because she was running a studio and she had art classes and she just looked at my folder and said, look, do you want to start your own art classes? You can
That's
use
awesome.
the facilities and all that if you like. And you'll start off with one student and then you'll build on that. And I did that for a couple of years, and every week I'd have, the workshop would grow slightly. It still wasn't amazing money, but it was a way of getting people in through the door to see your artwork. So you'd have it on the walls, and then
Yeah.
you do a workshop, and that would be great. So she was really helpful, and she was nicknamed the fastest painter in the West, I think. And she would, she could paint so quickly with acrylic. She would have she'd do one beach scene, and if that was good, she'd do 6 more like it, but different variations.
Right, okay.
So she taught me invaluable lessons about, okay, you've done that one good painting of a woodland, if you like it. Well, if you like that, do 6 more at the same time. Just do slightly different, but because that's being prolific is really helpful as an artist to just. You can take as long as you want to come up with an initial idea, but then once you've got something good, you just run with it and just do more of the same. So she taught me a lot of things about being an artist. Since leaving there, I then started painting live in front of people. That was a big change for me, was actually getting faster and faster at painting and being able to do ones in half an hour or 40 minutes during a set of music or whatever. And I would do that at different places, including like churches and stuff, and I would just do it in front of people, and they'd see it. And that then took me to other parts of the world, because people would see that and say, could you come and do that at our event, or could you come and do that at our wedding or whatever.
Yeah.
So from then, I've really been making it a living, just doing events.
That's amazing.
Mainly. Yeah.
How did that feel the first time you did that? Because I know we've had conversations about that, but that must have been quite the first time stepping out and doing like a live painting in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I think, it started off, I was doing pictures for people. I was doing pictures, on the table, doing pictures, and I would feel like I wanted to sort of just bring hope to someone. If I saw someone in trouble or someone who looked like they needed something, I would do pictures for people, and I saw the reason for art. Like wildlife art didn't really have a purpose for me. It was just painting stuff that I thought was pretty, whereas opposed to doing pictures that might mean something to someone and giving it to them. So I used to do that first, and that built my confidence because people would respond to that and say, oh, I like that. It does mean something to me. That does bring hope to my situation or whatever.
Yeah.
So when my dad was running this conference, and he said, why don't you go up? It was a Christian event. He said, why don't you go up when the music's playing and paint? And because it was my dad running it, and because I'd already given away free ones, I was doing it. It was more relaxed.
That's
it was
good.
just more.
That's really amazing because your dad gave you that opportunity at that point, and I know because I've seen your career, that has transformed now your career because you have, like you said, you've travelled all over the world doing these live events with your art, which is amazing to watch. And I love watching you do your stuff, so to speak.
Thanks.
So that's really cool.
It was that one event actually that opened the doors for many places. Like I met Dave Marquis from Croydon. He was at the event. He was watching me, and he is a great musician, and he took me aside and said, you need to come to Croydon and do that where I am. And there was quite a few key people there at that event in Cornwall. So I got lots of invites to different places. And I remember the first time he invited me to Croydon and gave me a flat to stay in. And I was just outside on the balcony, just sort of crying, because I was in London. I was being invited somewhere, and I was actually treated and paid for and all this. It was,
I love that.
Yeah, it was just amazing, really.
A bit of a dream come true,
Yeah,
so to speak.
It was,
I
yeah.
love that. That's awesome. So you were saying there, like, your art has kind of changed from doing wildlife, so to speak, to what would you say? I mean, I know you're very spiritual, and obviously I know you do stuff in church, but your inspiration, like, what would you say that it's developed into now? And I know you do loads of different things, but...
Yeah. I do have different things going on. The last few years I started doing oil painting, and that's kind of changed the way some of the paintings look. I still include the wildlife in a lot of my paintings if it helps tell a story.
Yeah.
I think for me now, I want my artwork to have a meaning to someone. Like, I want it to tell a little bit of a story and maybe bring some hope to people. So it's a mixture of hopefully the darkness, but also the hope and the light in it as well.
Yeah.
And I kind of try and combine that in each painting that I do now. So there's, I suppose that's what I would say I'm doing now, is more just telling little stories that people might be able to relate to, and actually help them in some way, or, you know, make
Definitely.
them feel peaceful.
Yeah, because a lot of your stuff either has... I mean, obviously, I know we've got stuff here. You've got, like, obviously...
These are the random ones that
Yeah.
are left over at home.
I love it, 'cause you've got loads of
Yeah.
those. We've
They're
seen
for
those.
sale,
So
all of
good.
them. So you can do.
Yes. Anything you want to buy here, guys, just tune in. We love it. We're not just here to sell, but it's all good. But I love, like, obviously you've got things here with the lion, and I know...
Yeah, that line was actually sold at Christie's. That was one of the wildlife paintings that I did
Yeah.
a long time ago. So yeah, I made prints of that one, because actually that one's... what I do is every 6 months or so, I look at all the prints and see which ones are selling, and then I scrap the ones that aren't and bring in... That one's been around for a long time.
And does this one sell?
Yeah, it still does,
We're just going to
yeah.
go all about money, but this is...
No. Yeah, that one does. And it's a photograph I took. I got a job, part-time job at a zoo once, and I took a lot of just to get photographs of animals. This is what I did.
Awesome.
I went into the zoo and asked for a job, and they gave me one painting fences and stuff. So I was able to take a lot of photographs myself, because one thing as an artist is reference material. It's really hard to get a good reference material, and you can't just Google lion and then use it, because that's someone else's artwork. That photography is someone else's artwork. So I have to try and use my own photography, and finding a line with the light in the right place and all that, it was really difficult. So that one picture is probably the best photo I've taken. So obviously that's become the best painting.
I love it. And I know you use lions a lot in your work as well, because I mean, it has a spiritual connotation, a spiritual meaning as well sometimes. So
I've always done big cats. I started drawing them when I was about 10.
Really?
Yeah. Snow leopards are my favourite.
Oh.
Just
I'm
like the
learning
colour.
all this new stuff about you today.
Yeah. I love
This is
big
awesome.
cats. Yeah.
That's cool.
But I like drawing people as well now and stuff. So there's a mixture of things
Yeah,
going
because
on.
you started to develop into like sort of like new paintings and people, and seeing more of that kind of stuff in your work as well, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've got one here, but
Yeah, I really like romanticism. I really like the old style of painting, and I haven't got there yet, but I really like that. I really like some of the romantic images that they have, and some of the ideas they would tell, old tales or fairy tales and things like that. And I want to kind of do that, but I want to kind of put my influence and my stories into that.
yeah,
I'm just at the moment looking at the way they did it and seeing whether I can do it in that sort of same sort of way. It's,
Yeah,
it's
and
really
develop.
tricky, yeah.
But I love that, because that means and I know this because we all know this, that you're always growing as an artist. You're always
Yeah.
developing, and you're always changing, and
Yeah.
there's always stuff to go. But I love that you're drawing from past, present, future, what's in front of you, and all nature to
Yeah.
kind of gain that inspiration. Would you say, is that how it works
It is,
for you?
yeah. I think it's easy when you're going through something. I think artists always are reflecting what's going on internally, and finding inspiration is really hard. Yeah, it's always really hard. And you can paint what you... If I get stuck, I'll just go to the woods and I'll just paint a tree because I like trees, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll just do that as therapy for myself.
Yeah.
And I might take that back to the studio, and then I might sort of think about it and say, what story can I tell in this? And maybe I could add something in there and
Yeah.
put some weird stuff in there and make it
love that.
interesting. But inspiration, yeah, it's really hard to be inspired and to push yourself, like,
Yeah.
because you could find one thing that you know sort of does quite well, and you could just continuously do that. And I think that frightens me. I think that I would always want to be doing something different, and it's that excitement. And it only happens once or twice a year that you do painting, and you think, I really like that. It's a step. That's a step in the right direction. That's what I'm aiming for. But it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.